On June 19, 1991, Pablo Escobar surrendered to Colombian authorities and entered La Catedral, a custom estate built to his specifications, with a soccer field and private waterfall. He walked into the compound on the exact day the Colombian government voted to rewrite its constitution to ban the extradition of its citizens. The arrangement was a formal truce with a rival sovereign power. Escobar retained his own security detail and continued managing his trafficking network from within the facility. How does a street-level criminal who began by stealing tombstones acquire the leverage to design his own prison and dictate the terms of a national constitution? The groundwork was laid decades earlier. In the 1950s, a decade-long civil conflict known as La Violencia claimed nearly 300,000 lives. It left the state weak and normalized a culture of criminal impunity that shaped Escobar's early worldview. By the 1970s, the criminalization of cocaine in North America and Europe created a massive price premium. Escobar recognized this as an economic opportunity that far exceeded his previous contraband smuggling. Escobar filled the resulting vacuum of state power with illicit profits, buying the enforcement capability the government could no longer provide to construct his own shadow government. The Medellín Cartel operated with the vertical integration of a modern corporation. They established direct control over every stage of the supply chain, from sourcing raw coca paste in Peru and Bolivia to processing it in jungle laboratories. To move up to 5,000 kilos of cocaine a week into the United States, they industrialized their logistics. They purchased Norman's Cay in the Bahamas, converting it into a dedicated island refueling hub for their trafficking fleet. This chart visualizes the resulting financial logistics, an estimated $420 million in weekly revenue. The sheer physical volume of this cash overwhelmed the processing limits of traditional financial institutions. The cartel moved bulk currency into Panama and fractured it across a network of global shell companies and BCCI bank accounts. This laundered capital was then funneled into legitimate real estate throughout Colombia and Miami. The volume of physical cash was so vast that the cartel wrote off roughly $2 billion every year. This 10% loss was attributed to water damage and rats eating the money stored in jungle safehouses. By the mid-1980s, the Medellín Cartel was generating a gross domestic product that rivaled the legitimate Colombian economy. Escobar protected this enterprise through a doctrine he called plata o plomo, silver or lead. He preferred silver first, using his treasury to establish a system of pervasive bribery across the police and judiciary. He weaponized his wealth through public works, building housing developments and soccer fields in the hillside slums of Medellín. This philanthropy created a Robin Hood persona, turning the local population into a human shield of informants and loyalists. His private estates mocked the poverty of the state. At the entrance to Hacienda Nápoles, his 7,000-acre ranch, he mounted the airplane used in his first smuggling run as a monument to his success. In 1982, he secured an alternate seat in the Colombian Congress. This provided him with political immunity and a platform to influence national policy from within the government. The legitimacy collapsed when Justice Minister Rodrigo Lara Bonilla publicly exposed Escobar's criminal past in Congress, forcing his expulsion from the legislature. His social works were a calculated facade. When the government rejected his silver and stripped away his political immunity, he pivoted to the lead. Following his political expulsion, Escobar initiated a campaign of retaliatory violence, beginning with the 1984 assassination of Justice Minister Lara Bonilla. The objective was to terrorize the state into nullifying the 1979 U.S.-Colombia extradition treaty. Escobar feared American federal prisons because his influence over the Colombian legal system could not reach them. This strategy reached its peak in 1985 when M-19 guerrillas stormed the Palace of Justice. The The siege resulted in the deaths of 11 Supreme Court justices and the destruction of thousands of extradition-related court files. The cartel systematically targeted political figures who championed extradition laws, most notably the presidential frontrunner Luis Carlos Galán, who was shot dead at a campaign rally in 1989. To kill Galán's political successor, Cesar Gaviria, Escobar bombed Avianca Flight 203. 107 people were killed. Gaviria had missed the flight. While the terrorism eventually forced the La Catedral truce, the arrangement collapsed within a year. Escobar murdered 2 cartel associates inside the prison, forcing the government to attempt a transfer that resulted in his escape. The terror campaign successfully forced a change to the Constitution, but his continued use of violence shattered the truce and triggered a total war against his organization. The resulting manhunt coordinated the Colombian search block with elite U.S. signals intelligence teams from Centrospike, who worked to triangulate his communications. Parallel to the state, a vigilante group called Los Papes began a campaign of extrajudicial killings, targeting Escobar's network with the same brutal tactics the cartel had used. Evidence suggests that state forces and U.S. intelligence likely shared information with these vigilantes to achieve the common goal of neutralizing Escobar. On December 2, 1993, Escobar placed a long phone call to his family. Signals intelligence triangulated the signal, narrowing his location to a single residential block in Medellín. During a rooftop escape attempt, Escobar was killed in a shootout with the search block. The circumstances of the fatal head wound remain disputed among the police, his family, and former vigilante leaders. The death of Pablo Escobar did not stop the global cocaine trade. Rival organizations immediately absorbed the market. His career serves as a demonstration that extreme illicit demand can generate the wealth necessary to compromise the legal and moral foundations of a democracy.